Hi, and welcome to Thanksgiving. This is a complete ad-lib thing, something I thought of doing this morning, so I'll do it anyways. Of course, the making of the best stuffing in the world. Oh, stop. Okay, now my wife is giving me the look. She made this nice apron for me. I wear it every Thanksgiving, so if you're a Cowboys fan, tough. Alright, and the hat, of course, in honor of my father who gave me this recipe. The first thing I had to do was chop the onions and peppers, and you put them in a stick of butter, and I use olive oil now instead of just regular old, plain old high cholesterol oil. And let those saute, and then you get the Hamburg and the pork sausage going. Use plain pork sausage, use it by the roll. Or you can go out and kill your own pig and make it yourself. And kill the cow and make the hamburger. I had to defrost the hamburger so we can cook it together. The oven's open because she already made one pie. We'll make some more pies. So we're going to put the hamburger in here with the sausage and get that browning while our base is sauteing on a low heat. I'm not going to give you all the details. They are in the cookbook I wrote about my dad, but if you send me an email, I'll send you the recipe. But this is definitely the best stuffing in the world. There's a lot of people who know it. So we're going to be browning, turn the heat up some so it will, in fact, brown. I'm going to be browning the meat. I got some foreplay playing for background music for when I stop speaking. But as a matter of fact, in North Carolina right now, my daughter is doing the same thing. This recipe was made by my mother's mother, Mary DeLumbo. And through the hands of the best chef in New England, my dad, this has now become the best stuffing in the world for Thanksgiving. It's a tradition in our family, and it's been passed on 3 generations. Every Thanksgiving I get a call, how do I do this, how do I do that? I said, well, you got the recipe out? Well, yeah. Alright, well then follow the recipe and make sure you got enough pots and pans, because you're going to need them. You need a big pot, because this is going to make a big pot. I'm not going to tell you exactly how much of everything, but I've been working off of this list for what, maybe 20, 25 years. Can you see that? Alright, that's enough. So, we want to brown this meat, and then when it's all brown, you're going to mix the meat and all the fluid, the liquids in there, into the big pot also. Alright? Okay, you see the meat's browning. And I've got the base of onions and celery on a very low heat, so they still stay sauteed and warm before I add the meat into it. Man, I tell you, that stuff is, look at that. That is good. Fresh out of the pan. That's good eating there. And that's just the start. Alright, we got our meat all browned up, and we're about ready to mix it with the base. We'll turn that base up a little bit higher, but first, one of our secret ingredients, of course, is the annual Canadian mist on Thanksgiving morning as we cook. So we need some of that. I never, I thought about putting it in the stuffing, but I just haven't. I haven't, because that'll mess up Dad's recipe. L'chaim. All right. We're going to mix the meat into the base of onions and celery, and all the liquid, everything goes in it, because the liquid ends up getting sucked into the bread and on the final, one of the final steps. Oh, there's a nice pie. That's one of the pies that Mom made. My lovely wife. So My dad always said put salt and pepper in with the onions and celery, but I don't like cooking with salt. So I just put the pepper in. I use the black pepper, ground black pepper, not the stuff out of the little packets you get from McDonald's. You know, I like to grind it myself in there because you get the pungency of the pepper. I like that word, pungent, like plethora. All right, then we got to mix this up. We got the heat on about medium low. We got to mix up the base. This is going to be the base. See that? Can you see that? I'm asking, can you see that? That rich Thanksgiving goodness. I wonder if all the other DeLumbers grew up making this, or if this was just a Gonzalez recipe. Coming up, the 2 secret ingredients. And it's not the Canadian mist. So we get that all stirred together, mush together, mush, mush, mush. You definitely got to have a big pot, because if you make it the way I make it, we end up freezing some, and then all of a sudden you discover a nice bowl of stuffing in the freezer, and just boom! Alright, I know what I'm having for supper. It's also been traditional for me to have this for my breakfast on Thanksgiving, when it's done. Alright, we got that mixed good. Now we're going to, one of the secret ingredients, allspice. I usually play the recipe by ear, like it says 1 pound of hamburger and 1 roll of sausage, but I use maybe 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds of each. And so if it says like a tablespoon of allspice, I might put 2 in there. I don't even know what allspice is. Is it a mixture of all spices? If so, I don't smell black pepper in it. Or is it just a plain old one spice that they called allspice because it smells like all spices? Very bizarre. The first person to discover allspice. I wonder if it was Christopher Columbus trying to find India. What is that? Is that 1? Alright, we'll put in about another half. Then we'll mix that up. Mix that good. I'll tell you, once you get all this mixing, then you get to the bread, you better have damn good mixing arms. Because when you start putting that bread in, holy mackerel, I usually got to call in a second. Hey, stir this for me some, will you? I remember, it's a workout. Alright, we got the allspice in there, mixed up pretty good. The other secret ingredient is the Canadian mist. No, the white vinegar. You gotta find a... Use a 3/4 cup, but I'll probably put a whole cup because, you know, I add a little extra. What kind of bugs are those in there? Nah. Alright. Put vinegar, I put in a cup of vinegar. once again, mix that stuff up. Might have to put another splash in here. I haven't got the smell yet. There's a smell that happens that all of a sudden I close my eyes, I'm back in Rhode Island, in Dad's kitchen, in the kitchen at the house, and it's like, it might be 500 some odd miles away, but all of a sudden I'm there, sniffing on Thanksgiving morning. Alright, we're going to mix this up. Alright, we got our base is bubbling on medium heat. Now it's time to add the chicken broth. We're going to add more liquid to it. You got to get yourself one of these high quality, high dollar church keys. Alright, the one with the deer, the faux deer, the faux Bambi handle. Now I use the Swanson. I got 2 of them, got less sodium, 2 of them are just regular. But pop a top for your family. And just pop a top, and then we're going to add all this. I'm supposed to put in 3, but I'm going to see how that looks. The problem lies in the fact if you don't have enough bread, you can't suck up all the fluid, all the liquid. So, Mama was kind enough to make coffee to go with the Canadian Mist. Alright, so now let's add the broth, the chicken broth. If you don't have cans of broth, you can use the bouillon cubes, the little golden cubes. Mix that up first, about 6 or 7 of them, around there, 6 or so, and that'll equal 3 cans of the broth. So after we add all the broth, we're going to let this start to boil. And you want a good rapid boil because you're going to add eggs, and you want the strings like you make an egg drop soup when you add the eggs. So that's 2 cans. Let's see how 3 looks. And you know what? I opened the 4th can and didn't think about looking how it looks. So we may end up adding 4 cans, or at least some. Alright, right now it looks like some really bizarre soup with a chicken stock broth and beef and sausage and onions and peppers. Actually, if you get it boiling, you could eat this as a soup. You know? A little, might not be to your taste, but you know, it's still almost each step of the way you could eat what you already made. Shouldn't gross you out. Ah, there's that smell. East Providence, Rhode Island. Hey, Dad! Are we having rutabagas? Go to Schroeder's and get me some bread. Alright, let's get this boiling. We'll turn it up a little bit, do a little high medium so it's boiling. And we'll head to the fridge and get the eggs. Alright, our base is boiling. We've got to recap, we've got the sauteed onions. Oh, by the way, I used 2 medium onions and 6 stalks of celery. Nice, hearty, long stalks. I washed them first and cut off the dirty ends. And in that, of course, the olive oil and 1 stick of butter. I love butter. And well, Smokey come to visit. Smokey, say hi to our television audience. To that we added the sausage and the hamburger, and then the secret ingredients, the allspice and the white vinegar. I wanted to use the Gonzalez red vinegar in honor of my grandmother, which was a vinegar that I found in Rhode Island one time and brought back with me. But so now we're going to, it says 3 eggs, but since I add a little bit more, I'm going to put 4 eggs in. So we're not going to scramble them when we put them in. We're just going to bust up the yolks and stir it a little bit. Alright. And we still have foreplay playing in the background if you can hear it. I didn't want to change up the music to death metal or anything. Although Eddie would like it. And I wish Eddie was here because he could stir the bread for me. But Eddie just had a baby. Congratulations. So we got 4 eggs in here. I'm gonna get a fork. Where's my fork? Gotta get a fork. And we're gonna break up the eggs just slightly. And then after all is done, after we stir in the bread and we take the first taste, when that's done and staying on a low heat to keep a little bit warm, fresh cranberries from Massachusetts. Alright? Premium Cape Cod cranberries. We're going to make our own cranberry sauce. Because that stuff that's shaped like a cylinder in a can, fresh berries, that's the bomb. Alright, the eggs, we got to break the eggs up just a little, just so we can get threads. You want the threads. Daddy says you got to have the threads. You don't put in scrambled eggs. You want threads, so that the threads form as it hits the boiling liquid. It is rapidly boiling right now. It may seem like with all the heat on and heat off and low and high and medium and everything that you're overcooking. You're not overcooking. What you're doing is infusing all the flavors to create a brand new flavor that you're going to think, why didn't my family think of this? You know, it's just an incredible, incredible stuffing. I mean, down south, I've been living down here for a long time now, and they make like oyster stuffing. Hold on. Oysters are for hot sauce, not for stuffing. Alright, so we got some, what looks like some good threads here. Fine egg. And we're going to stir slowly while we add the egg, just so we make sure we get threads going. Alright, so we pour it, and then it's going to glop, because it always glops on me. But we'll stir it maybe at 60 RPM, which would be 1 revolution per second. And then, oh, let's do it from high so you can have the visual effect. Look at that fine egg. And I got threads, they glopped. I got threads forming like the egg drop soup you get down at the corner of China One. Alright, and you gotta scrape out the rest so you don't miss out on any egg. Alright. And I'm gonna lift the egg up. Because it's protein, it's good for you. Alright. Forgive me, Tom Brady. Alright, stir this up a little so you see the threads forming. And I'll zoom in a minute so you can see the threads. Let me get this going a little bit more. Look at that. Egg drop soup with sausage and, you know, not really. It might be time for more Canadian Mist. Okay. You see this thing? It's got a boil and a rolling boil going. Look at that. Look at the threads. See, those are the threads. You want the egg threads to go. And let it continue to boil for a while till you check the recipe again. Which it's almost time to add the bread. But let it boil a while. And then we'll add the bread in. And that, like I said, you want help with the bread because it's your arms are going to be killing you, really. Alright. Okay, you got to simmer after you add the chicken broth and everything, the eggs and everything. You want to simmer it for 15 minutes. It's been on a slow boil, slow simmer, or whatever. I don't know the difference between a slow boil and a simmer, but it's there. And now we're going to add in the bread. I got 3 loaves of bread. Hopefully that'll be enough, and I don't have to dip into another loaf of bread. But I already took 1 loaf and tore it up in the turkey pan. And we're going to be adding the bread and stirring at the same time. Okay, now we're going to start adding some of the bread in here. You want to put in, well, we'll just pour in a bunch from this one. And do it like this so you can see the bread actually going into the pot like they do on real cooking shows. Alright, put some bread in there. The bread's going to soak up all that liquid, the vinegar and the broth and the eggs, and everything's going to be everything's going to be wonderful. Like I said, everything infuses all the different flavors to form something that's just fantastic. It really is. And this is what I was talking about. You got to have good arms, because trying to stir bread in this is unbelievable. So let's stir that up, get this bread so it's not white anymore, but it's mushy, real mushy. You want it real mushy. All right. And I keep changing batteries in the camera, so I don't know how long they're going to last. All right, we got one loaf in there. We'll start on the second loaf, and I did one at first so I could just pour it in and get it going. But it's just generic white bread, the cheap grocery store brand, whether it's Walmart, or Shores, or Food Lion, or Stop and Shop, or whatever. You just want plain old white bread. And you want to rip it up and throw it in there, and you're going to keep stirring as it starts to fill it up. And you gotta stir it in good till all the white disappears. And it starts to turn like this grayish, brownish, weird looking color. Actually, you know, color for this is, it's not a great color, but the flavor is, well, it's the best stuffing in the world, so you know the flavor is good. You just want to mush up all the bread. Get this bread all ripped up and mushed up and everything. After you put in about a quarter or a half a loaf, then you can start stirring it in. Don't worry about the long crust pieces, because those end up breaking up when you're stirring it. So you use the heels, use the heart, use the soul of the loaf of bread. All the bread goes in there. Alright, that's a loaf and a half. And it's still kind of liquidy. But you got to stir it up till all the white disappears, then we can add more. I say get 3 loaves. Eventually it'll get to a consistency where you might want to quit. I mean, if you're making a smaller pot for a Cornish hen or something, you know, you would want to use less of the ingredients. So, alright, we got a loaf and a half in there. We'll work our way to 2 loaves. Sometimes I like, instead of like a cheese grater, I use a hand grater just to grate it into crumbs and pieces of bread. These are the same thing Hansel and Gretel left when they were lost in the forest, and the witch found them and threw them in the oven. And then I don't remember the rest of the story, but I'm sure the witch lost. Unless it was a Brothers Grimm story, then evil wins. So, get this bread tore up. I think there's the game today, it's always Dallas playing somebody. And this year I think it's the Redskins. So there will be football. And I never bother watching the Macy's parade. There's only so many times you can see a gigantic blown up Snoopy. Because usually when it's on, I'm doing this. And after this, the cranberry sauce, and then get the turkey started. And then I can have my stuff and breakfast. And then it's Mama's turn in the kitchen. She does the vegetables and a lot of the other stuff. Yeah. She'll watch, I'll get the turkey started and she'll kind of watch it some, and then when it's almost ready she'll tell me to check it out, and you know, and that's when I do a colonoscopy on the turkey, to shove a thermometer up its butt to see how the internal temperature is, hoping it browns nicely on the outside. By the way, I stuff my turkey not with stuffing, but with like apples and oranges and potatoes, in order to, the turkey can maintain its moisture. And then usually in the skin I'll cut off pieces of butter cubes and put butter cubes under the skin, And I don't salt the turkey. All right, next 2 loaves. We're going for loaf number 3. And still, it's gotten mushy. A little more mushy. It's not solidified enough for stuffing yet, but it's. I got the temperature on 4, which is a medium. You never want to put the stove up to 11, because then your ears will bleed. So mush up some more bread, rip up some bread, tear up some bread, get the bread in there. And this recipe works both in Republican households and Democratic households. And the occasional Ron Paul household. Not every Ron Paul household, but. Oh yeah, this is good. I'm going to do a timeout so you can see how this is mixing up real good. You see, you got to get all that white out of there, but this is getting mushy real good. See that? Oh, that stuff is delicious. But you want to keep stirring it. You got to stir all the bread in it. All right. Oh, well, the dogs will get it. Oh, they're outside. Okay, so we're going to add the rest of the bread. All right, so we added 2.5 loaves of bread, and we only got like four pieces left, and it's a great consistency. This is the way you want it. You want it to stick on the spoon, then fall off, because you know it's just right. And leave the stove on just a little bit to keep it heated. This is the best stuffing in the world. And I want to thank Grandma for turning my father onto it, and then my father for doing his little bit of doctoring, and Mom and Dad for making this every year. And this is good enough. You don't have to have it every year. Sometimes we had it at Thanksgiving. Sometimes we had it at Christmas also. Somebody was always making this stuff, and it's a lot of work, but it's worth it. So we're going to have to do the spoon test. There's the first of the spoon test. Very good. The second spoon test, of course, is... well, it is a fork right there. I'll use this fork instead of grossing you out by going on the big spoon. It's a wooden spoon, by the way. I'm not sure if it's maple or oak or what, but it might even be alder. Who knows? If it was alder, then you could make a mini guitar. All right, here's the taste test. Unbelievable. Look. Another successful batch. I want to thank Mom and Dad. And I'm grateful for them teaching me how to cook and everything else. I'm grateful for all 6 grandchildren now. You have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and come back next year and watch this again. Eat well. Bye.